Welcome to Moving with CHD, the podcast and vlog where I talk to fellow CHDers about being active with a congenital heart defect. I'm Hayley and was born with atrial ventricular septal defect and had 2 open heart surgeries by the age of 1. Growing up, I loved being active, but wanted to better understand the benefits and challenges of exercising with this condition. I'm therefore so excited to hear from others who have found their love for movement within their heart limits. Together we'll share these incredible stories and the realities of moving with CHD. However active you're able to be, I hope you find some inspiration, encouragement, and the movement you love. This week, I'm speaking to Nick, who's faced multiple heart surgeries, but has throughout adulthood continued to be very active. 5 years ago, however, he got endocarditis, and it was during his time in hospital where he made the commitment to challenge himself more. Thanks, Nick, for joining our podcast, Moving with CHD today. Really excited to have you on the show. I thought we would start with a quick fire round. It's just 4 questions and it'd be great to hear the first 4 things that come to mind. Ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So first question, favorite Disney character?
They got Marvel now, don't they? So I'd have to say, yeah, I'll go with one of the Marvels, probably Wolverine, something like that.
Great. What's your spirit animal?
I don't know. My favorite animal is horses. I love horses.
Great. And if you could eat any food right now, what would it be?
My favorite food is cheeseburgers. Love cheeseburgers. Homemade. I like making my own, but yeah, a sneaky McDonald's is pretty good too.
McDonald's, nice. And name one thing on your bucket list, maybe post-COVID, but.
Geez, that's a hard one. I don't know. I suppose. I'm big into my sports. I really love sports. So I'll probably to go to Vegas. I've been to Vegas before, but just to go to Vegas and see like a heavyweight title fight or something like that in boxing or an MMA fight, something like that would be pretty cool. Apart from that, I haven't been to South America. That's probably the only continent I haven't been to. So yeah, to go to Brazil or something like that would be pretty cool too.
That'd be amazing. I went for the first time last year to Ecuador and it was awesome. Yeah.
Oh, nice. It's the one, I haven't done yet.
Yeah, highly recommend. Well, obviously it's great to have you here today and thank you obviously for joining us and sharing your story with CHD. I guess first of all, can you tell me a little bit about your congenital heart defect and what that meant for you growing up?
Okay, so I was born with transposition of the main arteries, which is basically the heart back to front. So where I was born was in North Queensland, back home in Australia. And it was at the time it was rural. Late 70s. It wasn't the technology we have today, so it was very rare thing. So where I lived was some distance away from a big hospital, so I would have to go down to Brisbane, which is a good almost 2,000 kilometres away. So they said they hooked me up with specialists down there when I was little, and from I think it was 12 months old, that's when I had my first open heart surgery, just to put little shunts in and everything, just to correct the flow basically. And then from there, we actually moved to Brisbane Hospital. So I had surgery again at 12, 19, and then 35, 36. But growing up back home, it was tough. I just get out of breath all the time. Really, really short of breath. And for someone who I love running around, I love sports at an early age. It was just, watching everyone else be able to do these things where I wasn't allowed, and the teachers would pull me back. It was kind of hard at times, but that's basically the gist of it.
Yeah, difficult if you're kind of going in surgery as well, because obviously you've got that recovery period after surgery, and as a kid you just want to be doing contact sports and running around the playground.
Yeah, the doctors were like very sort of softly like a cotton wool. I wasn't allowed to, like I said, run around. Even athletics day, like sports days at school, it was very limited. Wasn't allowed to do some of the races there. I remember the year they let me do the 100-meter race. I thought, oh, this is amazing. I was finally allowed to do that. So just things like that was a bit more difficult. My second lot of surgery when I was 1991, so 12, yeah. It was like the first week of high school. So I didn't start high school till a couple of months in. So I missed the first couple of months of high school, getting used to all that, different school and everything. So that was different as well.
Yeah, that's tough. For the added complexity of the new high school joining late as well. So when we talked before, I mean, it sounds like you've always been into fitness, even if you've not been able to do it as a kid. You've always been interested in it. But what's the sort of turning point for you when you decided to really step that up and challenge yourself?
Like I always would play sport, and I love sport. I think it's probably because I was told from doctors, my parents, whatever, you're not allowed to run long distances. And I remember we were doing a cross country at high school. This is high school. And I could run just a little bit. I was talking maybe a couple of hundred meters, like 600 to 800 meters. And I ran that nonstop. And I was like, hang on, this doesn't feel too bad. And then from then on, I'd go out and jog myself and run myself. And it would just slowly build up. It would be a kilometre would be my first goal. And I'd like, I can actually, it's not fast. It's, and I'm out of breath. It did to take it out of me initially because I know baseline level of fitness, but slowly built it up. And went from there. I, towards the later years of high school, I got more into sort of like, weight training and all that type of thing. And, when I left school, my first job was in a gym. So I just really enjoyed it. So fairly early on, I sort of knew that I want to get into like the fitness industry or, just follow my passion.
Yeah, amazing. And I believe you had a more recent, I say recent, within the last few years, sort of an event that perhaps put you back a little bit in that sense. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this is about 5 years ago now. Coming back, it was I did a couple of runs at Park Run. So I like doing Park Run every Saturday morning, and it just so happened I was actually getting quite better than I used to be, and I've set 3 PBs in a row. And coming to the 4th week, and I was a little bit off, but I thought I wasn't going to push myself anyway, so I finished, and the time was way off, and I thought, okay, it doesn't matter, I wasn't really pushing it. So the next week came, and the time wasn't coming down, even though I was trying a little bit harder. And it got to the point where I couldn't run 100 meters, like severely out of breath, like, leaning over the lamppost, like trying to get my breath, like, blacking out, sort of still standing, but still blacking out my sight. And we had gone to the doctor a couple of times, got antibiotics and all that type of thing, but it would go away and then come back. And in the end, they put me in the hospital, and it was endocarditis, which growing up, that's the one thing I couldn't get. The doctor said, you've got to be, make sure everything's clean, sterile and whatever. You can't get endocarditis. It's like, it's not good. So I did get it. So that was initially, endocarditis is 6 weeks treatment. It's every 3 hours, antibiotics injected. So I was 24/7 hooked up to a drip, and it was every 3 hours, day and night.
Wow.
Getting these antibiotics in me. So it did 6 weeks, still ran the test. It wasn't going away. They could see it on the scans and everything, the infection. It wasn't going away. So they continued it on a bit more. Actually, it was literally the day before the 6 weeks about to end, I got a fever again. And that's one of the things, that was the big telltale sign. It's like, well, we've got to keep doing this. So they did it for another couple of weeks. I think we got up to about 10 weeks when they realized, right, they didn't want to do surgery, but it had to be surgery or, death basically. So I'm in Cardiff now, I live in Cardiff, so they couldn't do it at the Cardiff Hospital, so I was taken over to Bristol. They've got a brilliant heart institute over there. It's amazing, great facilities. So after about 13 weeks of this antibiotics every 3 hours, 24/7, they decided to do surgery. And so that was, they honestly didn't know how long it was going to take or what they were actually going to find or what have you. So it was a very long procedure. I think 12, 13 hours in the end.
Wow.
Where they just had to get this infection, clean up a couple of things, obviously, because it had been a long time before my last surgery. I think, generally speaking, they're only, I think every 10 years you're supposed to have surgery. This has been about 16, 17 years since my last one. So they're just sort of putting some, just a bit of a refurb, I suppose. But the main goal was obviously to get rid of this endocarditis.
For you then, with endocarditis, was your main symptoms a sort of breathlessness or the fever, or did you have anything else?
Yeah, that's the two main ones. The other one was, and then this is something I still have to look at today, night sweats. I mean, literally waking up in pools of sweat. I'd be laying on my stomach and the pits behind my knees would be full of sweat. That's how much it was. Like I just hopped out of a shower. There's no exaggeration. That's exactly how it was. And I'd wake up hot, so I'd towel off, and then I'd be extremely cold. I just couldn't get that balance in temperature. So that was a bit scary. And even now they say if I get night sweats again, it's straight back in the hospital. So that, the fever and the shortness of breath,
so scary. It's like you said, it's the one thing you do always get told, isn't it, when you're growing up, is getting your antibiotics at the dentist and all that, trying to avoid anything like that.
That's right. Precautions like that, the dentist and just everything, just making sure anything, and if we're going to get cuts on my hand or anything like that, just make sure they're clean. Yeah,
absolutely. So after your, I guess, 12 to 13 weeks in hospital, what was your recovery like?
Went in, had the surgery. It was simple after that, to be honest. I thought, don't get me wrong, initially it was very hard, but it was they just had the test to make sure that I didn't have endocarditis. So after that, I was in hospital for a couple of weeks afterwards. It was around about Easter time, I remember. And so it was just precautionary. They still were running the antibiotics when I come out, and so they moved me back from Bristol to Cardiff just to run the antibiotics. And after 93 or 91 days in the hospital, they let me go and said, it should be fine. So after that, recovery is still a little bit slow because I was still very short of breath. And I came out thinking, this is good. I'll be back to where I was, easy, done. But it wasn't. It was basically like I had endocarditis still. I was very out of breath, getting upstairs, probably even worse than when I went in, but just trying to jog, run, do anything. Like I said, going upstairs, getting out of bed, anything like that. It just took it out of me. And that was for a while, and in and out to get tests done and everything. And basically what it came down to is all the scar tissue. I mean, 4 lots of surgery, the scar tissue builds up. So it's sort of blocking everything there. So I couldn't get a clear flow. So I went back in probably about 2-3 years ago now and got 2 stents put in. So since then, it's been brilliant. Amazing.
Great. Oh, that's so good to hear. And what sort of, I guess, in that last 5 years since you had your surgery, what have you focused on in terms of sort of fitness and what do you enjoy doing for fitness, and then what have you aimed for?
Well, when I was in hospital, I planned early in the year, because I went in January. My goal was to do a triathlon, and obviously I was in hospital. And I kept looking, as time went on, I was like, I still got time to train. So by the time I got out, I had a very clear goal. Right, I'm still going to do this. It was going to be about 3 months after my operation that the triathlon was on. It was a London triathlon. I thought I was still going to do it. So I managed to do it, got it. And like I said, was talking before with the build-up scar tissue, it was still very tough. I couldn't run, more than, 150, 200 meters at a time. Cycling was all right. I was okay with that. That wasn't too hard. And the swim as well, that was very difficult as well, just trying to get my breathing and everything right. But I did that. I managed to do that. It was I look back at it sometimes. I was in a couple of magazines, in the paper. I was got on Sky Sports and everything like that, and it was quite good. But I had set my goal. I knew without sounding cocky or anything, I just knew it was going to happen. I was like, this is my goal, and that's all I focused on. I'd get up early, I train, do everything. I thought, this is what I want to do, and then just probably lead by example. I've got young kids, and I just wanted to show them, like, anything's possible, really. And even if I had to do it bit by bit, 100 meters at a time or 50 meters at a time, I was going to get there. I was the very last person to finish that day, very last, but I finished.
Yeah. Amazing. I mean, it's quite a quick turnaround after surgery, I think, for quite a lot of people, especially doing, triathlon. Have you continued doing triathlons since? Are you still doing them now?
Not so much. I still like to go for bike rides. I still like to run every now and then, but I sort of switch back. I like touch rugby. So I played that again, but I like to keep fit. I did, obviously, when you've got a lot to think when you're in hospital and all those hours. Like, I was always into fitness, but I thought, a typical thing, like you're good for the week, and then the weekend comes and you're out and you're overeating, doing what have you. And I thought, no, I'm really gonna, take this a bit more serious. And so I did. So my first, actually, when I was doing the triathlon, I wanted to put on weight too, because I'd lost 13 kilos, which is 2 stones or something. Mm-hmm. So I lost a lot of weight, and I wanted to put that all back on. So I was, weight training like that type of thing. So, but I also wanted to be sort of sensible as well, because I've got that sort of ego about me. It's like, if I had a fever, if I was sick, I'm like, I'll just run it off. That was my attitude. But now it's like, I'm sick, I'm resting today, I'm going to lie in bed a little bit longer or whatever, or I'm not going to do that weight session, I'm going to go for a walk instead because there's something I'm not feeling right. So, no need to overdo it. So I kind of look after myself a bit more there. I love training. I get up at 4:45 every morning in the gym. I've got a gym luckily here at home, so I'm in there by 5, and then after that take the dog for a walk and get ready for work. So that's my daily routine.
Amazing. And I know obviously you have experience in the fitness world as from a professional's perspective, as well as someone who lives with CHD. So what's the sort of, I guess, a takeaway you could share for somebody who's looking to be a bit more active? I think I use my condition to be sort of inspiring to some people, but I just kind of, my thing is, like anything, just get up and do just something. I work in mental health at the moment, and it's not about going to the gym and lifting heavy weights or running a couple of miles, whatever. It's like, well, what do you feel like doing? What can you do to be active? So just whether it's going for a walk and then slowly, gradually building it up, or just starting weights. I really see the benefits of weights, especially for heart. A lot of people, when with heart issues, focus on cardio a lot, which is great. Don't get me wrong, but I truly believe that weight training is really beneficial for people who want to keep their heart healthy. So I've fully sort of encouraged people to start lifting weights. Start off slow. Start within your own means, and just build from there. I know, like speaking by myself, with my weight training, doctors have told me, you're going to take it easy. But I like to push myself just a little bit, not over the top, but I do push myself just a little bit heavier. And, a couple of years ago, it's the first time I've been off medication in 18 years. So I'm doing something right, whether it's, the weight training, the cardio, anything, moving around, getting steps in. I'm doing something right because, it's been 18 years since I've been on medication. And now I'm off them. I'm only on aspirin now. So I must be doing something right. Yeah, that's great to hear. It's just like you said, it's incorporating the movement that you can, isn't it? And being active within your day, within, what you can do as well within heart limits. But it's just doing something and building up.
Yeah, exactly. I encourage some patients with at the moment at work. I encourage them, can you get 10-minute walk? Just 10 minutes. That's all the start. There's a starting point right there. Or if you can run, 10-minute run. And then the next week, go 11 minutes. Just, 10 more then. it's just building slowly. And then over the weeks, that will slowly get to 20, your 30, your 40 minutes. So a lot of people, with fitness, they just seem to jump in and cut calories and they just jump straight into it. But it's just not like that. Just start off slow and you'll get there.
Yeah.
And your body I think you'll be a lot healthier too.
Yeah, I've certainly done that before. I know I've booked a half marathon before, and I'm not a good runner, and that was that failed quite miserably. But yeah, you're right. You've got to build up to it. You've got to give yourself time to do these things and not sort of jump too much in the deep end.
Definitely.
Well, it's been great to have you on the podcast today, and thank you so much for sharing your story, Nick. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you've not already, please help us get the word out to fellow CHDers by sharing with your network, subscribing to the Moving with CHD YouTube channel or podcast series on your favourite streaming platform. You can also stay up to date on all the latest episodes on my Instagram @Hayley.heartfitness.